Arsenal will save over £100 million. And after what I saw yesterday, I'm even more confident that 100% happens. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it amongst some other things as well. We obviously had our first preseason friendly yesterday. So I want to know people's thoughts on that. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I saw some performances out there that were very, very pleasing and confidence inspiring going into the start of the season. Let me know your thoughts. Before I get into it though, if you could, please do me a favour and hit like on this video. So I want to start by speaking about some of the younger talents in this Arsenal team. And like I said, let me know your thoughts on that pre-season friendly yesterday. I want to start straight away with Max Dowman because this guy is unbelievable. Remember that name. Max Dowman. He's unbelievable, Jeff. He will cost over £100 million at some point in his career. And that's what I'm telling you. If Arsenal can continue to make these kind of players, it's so helpful for the first team. We've seen it with bukayu Saka. He come through and all of a sudden he's worth over 100 million. I'm expecting the same with Ethan Nwaneri. And now after seeing Max Dowman, the quality these young players at Arsenal now possess is unquestionable. And something we haven't seen over the last, 10 years is the Arsenal Academy showing why they are one of the best in the world. Look, I'm 33. When I was in school, the Arsenal Academy was always the one that everyone in world football looked at and aspired to be. Like, that was the premium. That was the highest level of football academy. It was Arsenal. But it seems like maybe in recent years, we seem to get away from that mould, from that, just having that academy that you could be truly proud of. I think Hale End recently is showing why it is unbelievable. We've got players coming through into the first team. You look at Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri, you've obviously got Saka, we've had ML Smith-Rowe, other players as well. A couple very recently who have made the switch over to Manchester United. But it still proves my point that Arsenal Academy is now producing some of the best young players in world football. And that's exactly what the Arsenal Academy should be. That's what it's always been in my lifetime. So to have players like Max Dowman come through, let me know your thoughts on Max Dowman. Because he is one of these players, much like Nwaneri. But I'm looking at Max Dowman at 15 and I'm starting to think, do you know what? I thought Ethan Nwaneri was the next level to bukayu Saka or Reece Nelson. I'm looking at Max Dowman now and thinking this guy could be the next level up even from Ethan Nwaneri, who I rate so highly. Like, you look at a player on the ball, and I'm never going to compare him to Messi or anything like that, but I'm saying the way Lamine Yamal moves, Max Dowman has similar movements. Again, I'm not comparing the level of player. Lamine Yamal's doing it in a much bigger league at the moment because Max Dowman isn't in the Premier League, but he's been in the youth teams. But Lamine Yamal's showing that he can take the step up into the seniors and actually still provide those numbers and those performances. Max Dowman, I don't have any doubt, will go on to do that. I'm looking at that performance and the close control this guy has. Like I said, the way he skips and glides. Again, a lot of the attributes he has is similar to the way that Ethan Nwaneri plays. But I'm looking at Max Dowman and I'm saying, this guy also could be generational, but at a higher level. Like, I'm just so impressed by what I'm seeing at 15 years old. And people could say, oh, the competition, but this is still AC Milan. This was an AC Milan team that was fielding some very, very strong players. And this guy at 15 was making it look like light work. Now, I don't doubt this guy can step up and have some minutes in the seniors. I'm sure Arteta and Arsenal are going to want to be careful about how they introduce these senior minutes to this young player. But all I'm saying is, if you're an Arsenal fan, you should be very, very excited about the emergence of Max Dowman. This guy is unbelievable. What did you like about his performance? There were so many things to like. Like, I am just so excited to see how many minutes he can get next season. Can we give him 10 games, 15 appearances? I'm not saying starts, but I'm saying if you can bring this guy on. Now, there's a lot of congestion at the minute if everyone stays fit because we have quite a lot of first-team players, in those attacking or central midfield areas. But you have to give a player like this minutes. How many games do you think Max Dowman can realistically play next season? Let me know. Also, you had Marli Salmon. Again, a good performance. This is the age of the youngsters. We saw it with Milan as well, to be fair. They had a 15-year-old goalkeeper in goal, and he was very, very good. The level of players these clubs are now producing at such a young age is crazy. Like, the technical level of these young players has never been higher, I don't think. in all my years of watching football, you see some of these young kids play football. Like, you'll see clips on social media of like an 8-year-old kid doing a technical session, and you just think, oh, like, how are the feet moving that quick at that age? And that will only continue to improve with this level of coaching and, I don't know, emphasis we're placing on these young kids from an early age, saying, look, if you want to be a professional football player, you need to start at 4 or 5 years old and start drilling this technical work every single day. And I think Max Dowman is like he's like a product of that process, because you can tell by the way he moves. This is a guy that's been technical from a very, very early age. Like, the technical ability at 15 years old to play senior football against a Champions League team. It's incredible. Like, you should be very, very, very excited, like I said, about players like Max Dowman, Marli Salmon, and I don't know, I was just very, very impressed with all of it. In terms of the friendly in general, I was happy with what I saw from Arsenal. I thought we saw some great link up down that right hand side. Was I shocked? No, because Ben White and Bukayu Saka, how many times have we seen that partnership flourish on the right hand side? Like, we've had conversations last season, the season before, because Ben White was injured for a lot of last season, but the season before, that we had the triangle that we always discussed, didn't we? It was Ben White, Odegaard and Bukayo Saka. They was ripping it up on that right hand side. The chemistry those three have with each other is unquestionable. There was a bit of a drop off with Odegaard's performance last season, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's because the lack of that right hand side. Like I said, with Saka, with Ben White, they just all seem to gel so well, or they do when they're all playing together, and that is shown by the way that Saka and Ben White was linking up in yesterday's game. I just thought that was so good to see again. Like I said, after missing it for large parts of last season, whether it be through Ben White's injury, through Odegaard's injury, through Saka's injury, whether he was playing Jury and Timber at right hand side, it was just good to see that partnership re-emerge, something that we've seen so successful. But the game in general, like I said, it was good. It was a comprehensive 1-0 win. Now, we didn't dominate every single moment of that game, but we was very comfortable. Like, there was moments in that game where you thought, if we had Victor Gyökeres in here, I think I saw the stats, it was like Arsenal had 21 or 22 shots to AC Milan's 3. You know, that's as comprehensive victory as you're ever going to see in terms of a 1-0 win. And if you have that killer striker up front, you might just be able to get more goals than that. Like, if Victor Gyökeres was playing that game and he was taking some of them shots, you see his shot conversion rate, and you would assume, it would be fair to assume, Arsenal probably win that game 3, maybe 4-0. And that's something we've got to look forward to with Gyökeres when he comes into this team. Look, and I was a bit, in yesterday's video, there's been a lot of people moaning, saying, oh, you're bigging up this player too much. And I was on a bit of a wind-up in yesterday's video. I would admit that, because I'm sick of people. Look, I said Victor Gyökeres is the best striker in world football. Do I believe that in my heart of hearts? No, of course I don't. If he continues to produce those 50 goal a season numbers while he's playing for Arsenal, then we can have that discussion. But I'm sick of people, rival fans, and even people in the Arsenal fan base slating this player. Like, he's not even played a game yet. Oh, he's a Premier League reject. Oh, he flopped at Coventry. Oh, it's only the Portuguese league. And I'm trying to say, look, this is an Arsenal player, so I will defend him. So if you're going to the extreme of calling this player a flop, I'm well within my rights to respond and say this is the best striker in the world. Both of us could push the argument forward and have a valid argument. If you want to say he's a flop because he played in the Championship and then he's playing in the Portuguese league, which is the 6th or 7th or 8th strongest league in the world, then fine. But don't moan at me when I come back with this is the best striker in the world because he's scored the most goals. That's an easy argument I can put forward, and I'm well within my rights to put that forward. Like I said, it's very frustrating to see all these people hating on this transfer before he's even signed for us and kicked the ball. So yes, I was a bit, I don't know, overconfident or on a bit of a wind-up in yesterday's video by saying Gyökeres is the best striker in the world. But I'm tired. I'm not just going to keep taking it from these rival fans who are saying this is the worst transfer. No one else was in for him. You was the only club in for him and you paid 80, 90 million. And I know they're on a wind-up, so I just reciprocated that. And I thought, why don't I go on a bit of a wind-up as well? So that's what happened yesterday. But the season is nearing closer, and I just can't wait for football. How good was it to see Arsenal back in action? And like I said, once this season starts, I just can't wait. I haven't been this excited for a season to start in a very, very long time. If I had to pinpoint a season where I'm like this excited, it probably was when we signed someone like Mesut Ozil, because that signing at the time was like, oh my God, we've just signed one of Real Madrid's best players. And at the minute, there's a bit of unknown around Gyökeres. We've just scored the guy who scored the most goals in world football in the last 2 seasons. So, of course, I'm excited about that. I can't wait for it. Arsenal have needed a striker. Yes, we've signed strikers in the past. I'm thinking of Aubameyang. But at the time when we signed Aubameyang, it didn't feel like we was this close to winning the title. Of course, Aubameyang's goals would have always helped. But we didn't have the structure to allow Aubameyang to push us to the title. Like, we didn't have the defence. We didn't necessarily have the level of goalkeeper we do now, or the keepers we have now. We didn't have the midfield or the attack. So yes, you had Aubameyang, who was a 30-goal-a-season striker, but we didn't have the rest of that team that could confidently push this team on to winning the Champions League and the Premier League. But we are now in that position. We've got the goalkeeper, we've got the defence, we've got the midfield, we've got the attackers, and now we have the striker. I'm hearing a lot of people trying to heap pressure on Mikel Arteta by saying, this is the season you have to win. If you don't win, you need to leave the football club at the end of the season. I'm not ready to commit to that statement yet, but that doesn't mean I don't understand when people say that, because there is only a limited amount of time you can give a manager. Whether I believe there he is the right guy, which I believe in my heart of hearts, this is the right manager to lead us to our first trophy in God knows how long. There will come a point where you have to look at it and say, he's had 6, 7, 8 years, and before he didn't have the striker, he didn't have the wingers, he didn't have the midfield, he didn't have the defence, doesn't really have the right goalie. But now if you're looking at that squad, you're saying, you've got an unbelievable keeper, you've got a world-class defence, you've got Gabriel and Saliba. Most of us are saying this is the best centre-back partnership in world football. You look at the midfield, you've got Zubimendi, who is wanted by Real Madrid, he was wanted by Liverpool. You know, you've got bukayu Saka, who we say is one of the best wingers in the world. You've got the striker, who has scored the most goals. So now you should have all the tools you need to go on and win that title. And that's why I'm so excited about this season. You sprinkle in the likes of an Ethan Nwaneri. You sprinkle in the likes of a Max Dowman to see how many minutes he will get in and around this team next season. And it just adds to the excitement for me. I cannot wait. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard on this video. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. And like I said, do me a quick favour. Just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.